Hey Conrad, hey Brett, hey Michelle, hey Stefan, hey Naomi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good and yourself?
I'm good. Been not too long.
Are you? Yes. I ran with you the other day and really regretted it because I we did some window bashing, right?
Yeah, that's that's the fun part. I know. Just like I have to go window bashing with you because otherwise you'll leave us behind. So we have to take you on a
I
route
don't
to
know
slow
how
you
true
down.
that is.
No, no, no,
On a downhill, you'll always leave me behind.
no, no, no. She's where
For
where
those
where you
out
now?
there who doesn't know Armand really well, Armand is one of the fastest downhill runners in the Cape. And if you've ever seen one of those roll buses in the Karoo going at wind speed, then that's pretty much how Armand looks going down a downhill. Just
It's
see
the
the
only part of
dust.
running I really enjoy. I just go uphill so I can run the downhills.
Armand, before we start, let's just introduce ourselves again.
Yeah,
Do
let's
you want to
give
start?
people let's give people a few minutes to join. Yeah, but yeah, let's. Hi, Leon. Thanks for setting this up.
Yes, awesome.
Awesome. Hi, Meis Maria. Cool name. Where?
Mace is a legitimate person. His name is Mace, and he was my roommate for a while.
Oh,
That's awesome.
legit.
Thanks,
Oh,
Mace, for
cool.
joining.
Yeah, yeah. How's it, Meis? I know. Where are
Cool.
you now?
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
sitting in my aunt's art studio.
That's
I had
amazing.
to move away from the naked women paintings. I didn't
Damn
want to
it.
offend anyone, but she's an avid artist and she does all sorts of abstract paintings. So sorry for the background.
Oh no, no. It
Actually, it
looks it
looks
looks
quite
awesome.
cool.
It looks very, very cool.
Yeah. And
Hey
you,
everyone.
you're in Llandudno, right?
Yeah, I'm at home. It's a beautiful summer's day. Like I guess it's the same there. We just not too far apart. Um,
Yes.
yeah, had a beautiful run a bit earlier. Um,
I
out on the
saw.
same. Yeah, it was yeah nice, but bit of tar road back, but that wasn't so nice. But the rest was fantastic. Cool.
Right.
I think there's quite a few people online, so I think we
Yes.
can start. I
Fire
think
away.
well yeah I know me. I think Naomi yeah, it doesn't need much introduction. I think being really let's do an intro. So I think as uh, we all know Naomi. We all know she's probably one of the most respected ultra runners in South Africa. She's not only she's the overall winner of the UTD 160, 15th at UTMB, a crapload of other stuff like yeah. I mean that's yeah, I mean, we couldn't ask for someone better to answer questions on this on the route and then on the region. That's,
I'm going to throw that right back at you. Armand has a list as long as my arm. I don't even know all of them. He did one of the most difficult races, I think, in terms of distance and terrain, the Tour. If you're into trail running, you probably know about it. And he ran the most crazy event that I've heard of, the Fjord Race. So if you want tips
good.
on how to survive pretty much any conditions from desert to very, very cold, I think is a good person to ask, and someone with stories that you won't believe, but they are genuinely true about about fixing injuries and jackets mid-race and just surviving. So I think I'm in good company. I always, when I talk to him, I always feel like I'm very much a newbie in the trail running.
Okay.
So I think, yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think we
think
both
we have
like
lots to say.
yeah, we both like long runs. You like you can't run away from your problems with a short, like as the problems get bigger, the distances we run gets longer.
Exactly. They say you start out by praying, and then in the end, you start out by cursing everything and everyone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But yeah, mostly yourself.
Yes. Just a shout. Hey, Joffy. Good to see you. Hi, Tony. Um,
Right.
Yeah, let's get into it. I think just as a general structure, we'll start with some of the general questions. Flip, there was some amazing questions. Some made me chuckle, some made me grimace a bit. And then we can move on to the altitude, and then get into the UTD specifics. But we can sort of see how things go, and if there's questions, people just shoot through on the comments, and we'll take it from there. So I think a good area to start would be, I think, the general questions. So the first question we've got here is from Joe Kepler. Hey, Joe. Um, what is the best advice that you can give someone who does not cope well in cold weather? Um, yeah, I mean, I'll take a quick stab at it from the ultra fjord days. Like that's I've done. The ultra fjord is quite a cold race in Patagonia. It's in the Antarctic region of Chile. So I think from my side, I would just say it's quite important to keep moving, stay dry, um, like put on your warm layers much earlier rather than later. Don't wait until you really cold, because once you start losing control of your fingers and stuff, you're a bit in the shit. So try and get those layers on. So really, there's nothing worse than having to try and get a base layer on when you're already freezing and trying to open your pack. So get that on early. I would also say just a good thing is invest in a good quality base layer. A base layer, I think, is one of the most valuable pieces of equipment to have. One that keeps the sweat away from your body, keeps you dry, and some good quality gloves. That would be my 2 cents on that.
Yeah,
Romeo.
I think as a girl, we tend to get colder a bit sooner, to do with body weight, etc. And I think, for me personally at UTD, the highest point is extremely cold. So prepare
Oh
yourself
yeah,
mentally for it. I think the winds up there last time, it was quite hectic. And my best tip would be to tag the peak, to say hi to the good people, and to get down as soon as possible. As you go down, the temperature gets better again. The moment you sit still, like Armand said, keep moving. The
yeah,
moment you sit still, your muscles get sore, and you get cold within seconds.
yeah.
When I was running in the UK, now a little bit as well, if you keep moving, you're actually warm. Most of the time, you actually don't really need to run with
Mm.
all the layers. But the moment you stop, the wind chill just gets to you. So keep moving and don't
Get
waste
there.
time at the top. Don't waste time at
Totally,
the
that's
top.
good. Don't, yeah. I think it's so tempting. You start to get when hypothermia kicks in, you start to feel a little bit sleepy, and then it's very tempting to just go and sit on a rock and nap a
Yes.
bit. But that's probably the worst possible
It has
thing
a
you can do.
snowball effect. So
Yeah,
the more you shiver, the more energy you use, the less you feel like eating, the more sleepy you feel. So the other thing is also, if you get an opportunity to drink something warm to warm yourself up from the inside, do it. Even if you don't really feel
yeah,
really hungry, a little bit of soup to warm your core is always a good idea, and it actually helps your digestion as well. So if you have the opportunity to eat something warm, try, just even if it's a mouthful, to get it
yeah.
down.
Get it,
Yeah. Once your
get it
hands are
in.
blue and stiff and you've got the claw, everything is
Yeah.
difficult.
No,
So,
no, exactly. You don't want the claw. You want
no.
to. Cool. Craig Stevenson. Should you get running poles for the 32-kilometer trail? Um,
um, I personally have never really run with poles. There's two reasons for that. I've never had, basically grew up on the West Coast where there isn't any mountains, and I've never had the proper chance to try them. I think if I lived in Europe, I would have probably tried it much sooner, because I know that they're basically two extra legs. If you've seen Killian do the spider run,
yeah.
then you probably see what you can do with poles. And in longer races, they definitely help. But I think if the race is really short, um, and you feel like you're fit enough to do the climbs without them, you won't die without them. It won't be something that you can't complete the race without them. But if you're used to running with
Yeah.
them and you've trained with them, that's the thing. If you can run with them comfortably and they help you personally, then take them. It's what works for you
I'm
personally. I'm not
I'm,
more
I'm, I'm,
experienced with poles. Yeah.
yeah, I'm slightly in other camp here. Because I'm a big fan of the sticks. So I think there's two sides. There's the flat earthers and then people that needed to. I mean, Naomi usually runs too fast. You need the poles. Like for us, normal people, it's a crutch. Like these two extra legs become quite valuable later on. But I think the other thing to remember as well is like, if you compare it with different races, 32 kilometers, the 60, the 100 miles, 32 kilometers sounds like a short run, but it's not a short run. 32 kilometers is a bloody long way. If you think about going out for a weekend run, 32 k's is a big distance. So for me, I find poles incredibly valuable, especially on long climbs or any climbs actually. Just having something to take a little bit of the weight off your legs. So yeah, Craig, like for me, I'm a big believer in the six. I wasn't a fan of poles until Ronald Sims, I think. I bought the poles the day before and I was like, oh, let me just try them. I've got 160 kilometers to figure out how they work. And by the end of that race, I was an absolute convert. So yeah, up to you. Like if you used to, like Naomi said, if you're used to running with poles, do run with them before. Don't make the mistake. I don't know. That was an experiment that happened to pay off, but yeah, I wouldn't advise
Yeah.
it.
I've heard that people try them for the first time on the race, that it actually slows you down a bit because you get you need a while to get used to them. But if you're used to running with them, I think they can be really beneficial. Just don't
Absolutely.
try it on race day. I think that's a bit risky.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
might trip over
And
your
and
own
and
balls.
yeah, and don't be a dick and don't stick it into people's eyes. I think that was the
At World
uh,
Champions, a girl almost made a shish kebab out of me that didn't really know how to use
shit.
her poles, and she tripped me a couple of times, and she actually poked me in the stomach with her poles. For
Okay, so see
your
people.
safety and others,
Yeah,
just be
so poles can be
comfortable
a
with them.
strategic advantage as well. It can be a strategic advantage.
Trip
All,
your competition.
all's fair in love and war. What's your Naomi, what's your take on gaiters for the 100 milers? Yes or no? That's a question from Erika Basson.
I don't think gaiters is a bad idea ever if you're doing trail running. Except if you're one that changes your shoes quite often and it's something
Yeah.
that's hard to take off and put on. But you go through a lot of mud, you go through a lot of bushes. I remember I had scratched inner calves like you won't believe. And if it's those short gaiters that basically just cover the inlet of your shoe, where little rocks and thorns and things can go in, it could be a big game changer for most people. So I don't think that it would ever do any harm. I wouldn't advise taking something really bulky and heavy. As long as it's lightweight
Yeah.
and it fits over your shoe, and again, you're used to them. Don't try them for the first time on race day. But if you're used to running with them and they fit comfortably, they're not chafing you, they're not heavy, then by all means go for it. I think for most trails these days, you go through all sorts of surfaces, and yeah, it's not a
You
bad thing to have them.
you mentioned they're changing shoes. There was a question, someone asked the question about would you change shoes on the shoes or socks? Would you actually change socks on the race? I mean, that's also for me, like the gaiters, I think on the 100 mile, probably, yeah, if it's lightweight, but if there's a lot of value in changing your shoes. I find that putting on new socks or new shoes is basically like you feel like you're getting a new pair of legs.
True.
There's nothing like being able to take off that flipping crummy, like sticky, burning socks and then putting on some brand new dry socks. Getting rid of all those little rocks and crap in your. It just like feels like you've got new life in your legs. I once made the mistake of taking off my socks during a race. It was on Ultra Fjord and not well. I didn't have replacement socks. It was just like my socks started to irritate me, and I was really sleep deprived. So I thought it'd be a good idea to take the socks off completely. But then I was stuck. That was a very bad idea. So if you change socks, make sure you've got replacement socks.
I changed my
uh,
shoes on the UTD 100 miler at the 100-kilometer mark, more or less. Louise from Trail Mag was so nice. She was sitting there and she's actually washed my feet for me. I don't think anyone's
Oh,
ever been that nice to me ever. I thought, oh, shame, ew, my shoes and my feet are so gross. She actually helped me. Anyway, I put on my new shoes, and because I ran with more sort of grippy shoes in the beginning, the last part of the trail is very much more runnable. I put on some thicker soles for the second half or the last third of the race, and it really helped.
yeah.
I had a bounce in my step, and obviously your legs are
Oh,
tired by then, and so I do think that depending on your own experience, what you like and don't like, but I think that it can make a huge difference. So yeah, I agree.
yeah. Yeah. Cool. I think that the socks question was Konrad Grobler. So I hope that sort of answered that one. And yeah, I think if Eloise is on the I don't know if Eloise is here, but yeah, no, that's something really special. Sis Eloise.
Thanks, Eloise.
That's
She's
true love.
amazing.
I think that's probably the best thing you can do to solve someone is wash their feet. I think
Yeah.
everyone of us should at least do that once in our life for someone. I think that's a very
Yes,
special gesture. But
that's a good
if
thing.
if you do it as a general gesture, probably not do it on an ultra trail. Eloise, that is going the going the extra mile.
It was after we passed a marsh as well, so I was really stinky. It's horrible. I'm sorry.
There's another question by Craig Stevenson. Where's the best place to get trail running plans? I think that's a question that I know like a lot of people have different opinions. The one option that springs to mind right away that I think is flat rock endurance. Got a relationship. And then I think vert.run / Ryan-Sands. Ryan's got a really good trail running plan, bringing you up to 100 miles there. You know, we all know where, you know, his experience and expertise. Yeah, no, I mean, just I don't know if you want to say a word about flat.
I must really promote my coach at this stage. I do
Yeah,
think that he's got a lot of athletes training with him that has done the course, so he knows how to prepare you for the course. I run with Flat Rock Endurance, but for everyone it's different. A lot of trail athletes don't really like having a coach. They trail by themselves, and by all means you can. I just think that speaking to someone that has maybe done the race and has a good training plan to give you an idea of the volume you need to do. A lot of people, I think, tend to overtrain for the very long distances.
that's
If you don't have a
actually
guideline. Yeah.
that's actually quite good. Like just as a segue into the next question, because you know, just as you're talking now, like I said, I saw there's a question from Smurf MG here. What weekly distance and elevation would you recommend as training for 100 k's? So
Yeah. Yeah, I
it's
think to get a guideline, some advice from someone. I ask advice all the time. I think Ryan, I message Ryan often and ask him, listen, what do you do for this and this? And trail runners in general, people with experience, they like giving advice. So ask someone who's done it before, and ask a couple of people. Everyone's different. Everyone will have different advice. I always ask people that have done the race. I asked that month before I did the Mauritius Trail, how does the terrain look, so that I know what to prepare myself for. So I think if you don't have a coach and you can't afford someone, at least have a conversation with someone that has done it before to know what you're dealing with, and get guidelines from them in how they prepared, and try just to not overthink and overtrain. Just go in fit.
yeah. That's. I also just want to second what Naomi said about Erin and flat rock endurance. You know, like I know a lot of my friends, you know, absolutely dude, you're a legend, and I know you mean a lot to a lot of people. So yeah, serious respect there.
He's awesome.
Yeah. And as a human, as a coach.
As a coach.
This one, Mooncake, how's it, bro? The dreaded toilet diaries. How does one prepare for those when there's no place nearby? Yeah, I mean, I say on trail there's two types of people. There's the stick and grass people and the rock people. So I know, like I had this discussion long on it. Yeah, I don't want to go into details there, but yeah, I guess we came to the conclusion that there's two people. Some people prefer rocks and some people prefer grass and shit. But I think from my side, Mooncake, like the one piece of advice is please don't shit on the trail. Like if you go find a bush, you're gonna be out there for a long time. I think. Yeah, just be yeah, be nice to your fellow runners. There's nothing worse than running and coming
And
across a landmine.
nice to the environment. I'm very much focused on conservation, and there's nothing more awful than seeing someone's toilet paper in the bushes. We
Yeah.
are going through beautiful countryside where people, their livestock walk there, their dogs walk there. You're going through on one of the most beautiful trails in the Drakensberg. So I think if you can, step off the trail, make a small
Yeah,
hole,
please.
hide your toilet paper,
Oh,
burn your toilet paper, and if you're using wet
yeah.
wipes, please use biodegradable wipes or something and try and take it with you. Basically, we don't want to leave it a mess. We don't want the people living there and the people using the trails thinking, flip, I hate trail runners. They always leave a mess behind them. And it's something that I think we as trail runners are proud of. We try and take everything with us that we can and be as nice as possible to the environment. And a tip from my side, I think it's a bit uncomfortable to talk about, but if you feel the need to go, don't run uncomfortably. Just do it.
Yeah.
I think I've run trails where I'm in competition and I'm thinking, I don't know if I should stop. Just get it over with. That's my best advice.
Yeah. On a 100 mile, I guess even if you know me, you still have, it's a long run. Like taking 5 minutes for a toilet break is yeah, I think it's a good investment in the comfort for the rest of the run.
Just something with altitude. For those who ask about altitude, just a tip. I read a lot about altitude, and one of the things is that it makes you urinate more. It's to do with your heart pumping faster, you breathing faster, so your body works really, really hard. So you will probably need to go to the toilet more often than usual. Be prepared for that and make sure that you're drinking enough water to make up for it. It's just a tip.
I saw there's a tip here in the comment, ziplock it. I'm not so sure.
That's commitment.
That'll be a very bad discovery after the run. Like, I mean, I can deal with some leftover goo wrappers and stuff, but I think if you discover that in your pack after a few days, it might be the most pleasant thing. Let's move on. This is going south. How do you avoid long? Yeah, ziplock it's going to get stuck in my head. How do you avoid long-term injury to your knees? Do you have problems with your knees? And that's a question from Is it? And Naomi, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So,
what do you say?
From a veterinarian's point of view, actually dogs that do exercise do struggle with their knees as well. And what I always tell people from my sort of medical background is that if you're conditioned, so if you train enough, your muscles and your joints are used to the exercise, and actually then the muscles around your joints make your knees stronger. Obviously, if you're undertrained or you're overweight, you do put a lot of strain on your knees, and they take all your weight, your back, your whole body upwards. But if you're conditioned and you actually exercise regularly, it makes your knee joints stronger. Your quad muscles above your knee keeps that joint stable. I've had very little problems with my knees. I've got a kneecap on the one side that tends to, on a descent, sometimes not slip out of place, but it's sometimes a little bit painful. And I've had ITB a couple of times, but it was from running on road too much that I got the ITB, and not from the trail. With the trail, you use all the small muscles in your legs. You change your pace and your footing so regularly that you basically don't have that hammering that you have on the road. You use your whole body. So no, I don't think that it's bad for your knees, but you do need to be conditioned, and you do need to train them. You do need to run on the trails often and be prepared.
I totally second it. Like, I think running outdoors, running on the mountains, like Naomi said, I think you use a lot more of your body, use your whole body. It's not the deep hammering of someone doing a Comrades, for example, where it's constant hammering on your knees or one set of muscles. yeah. So how do you avoid long-term injury to your knees? I guess the answer is to run on trails more than road.
Good shoes.
uh,
Also have some good
yeah,
shoes.
yeah. Any nutrition recommendations? What works for you? Electrolyte drinks. That's another question from Konrad Grobelaar. Um, yeah, I mean, I'll add some thoughts from my side. I believe for especially for a long run, something that's easy to digest. The worst thing that's happened to me on long runs is if you have a lot of solid food with you, but you can't manage to keep any of that down. I've run the first few days of Tour de Jean. Basically, the only thing I could keep down was broth at the aid stations and gels. So I think have solid food, but as a backup, have some have gels or have some mix that you can that your stomach doesn't have to do too much work to digest. Yeah, the worst thing is if you're not able to take in any food and you're going to visit that deep dark pain cave much sooner
Yes.
than intended. Other things, I think salt tablets for cramps and take them earlier rather than later. Electrolytes. I usually have one flask with electrolytes and one with water. I think Ryan once said a very true thing, or did that for me sort of like made me realize the importance of electrolytes. It's like nutrition is your fuel, but electrolytes are the oil to the engine. I think that's something that always stuck with me. Yeah, I think that's just to use food that works for you. I always say like, yeah, just have something that's super easy to digest. Yeah, I don't
Um,
know where you're.
From my side, I really struggle to eat while I run. I've always struggled with it. So that's why I started using Tailwind, because it's got basically its nutrition in a liquid form. So I do recommend people that sort of get a gastro, a lot of people do get a gastro reaction, might have to try something like that. Also, two things happen at altitude for those doing the 100-miler. You use more energy, like I said, because your heart's pumping faster, you're breathing faster, so you're using a lot of energy. You use about, I think it's 30% more energy to do the same action than you would at sea level. So you're really spending a lot of energy. So you're burning calories like nothing. But you have a lower appetite because of the gas building up at your stomach, in your stomach, because of the air pressure. So you have a very gassy stomach. You sometimes feel a bit nauseous and bloated. Everyone's different, but I think a lot of people can testify of that. So things that have a high calorie value, but not a big volume, might be of great help. I'm not a fan of gels. I don't really work well with gels, but at that race, I did use a gel at the top, just because I really couldn't eat. I couldn't eat for the whole first part of Lesotho. So also mentally prepare. When you're going down, you will start feeling better as you
Yeah.
go down and the pressure changes again. So just bear with yourself. Don't panic if you can't eat. Obviously, listen to your body, but as you go down, it will get better. Just keep on telling yourself that, because you can get
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
frightened if you can't eat and you have to
Uh,
run this massive race, but you'll make up
I,
for
I,
it as you go down. Yeah.
I would just, yeah, just, I mean, I would just, if you can't eat, try and force down food.
Mm.
Just because, like, I think the quickest way to get out of that sort of hopeless situation is to
Yeah.
try and get
To
some
take in
calories in.
calories. Yeah.
Even if it's the hardest thing to do, try and get some food, and it might feel like, fuck, I'm just gonna like, you know, churn it up all of this food again, but just try and get something and try and keep something down. Like Novi said, you've got to have faith. It's going to get better. It might take a few minutes, it might take a few hours, but there will be light again.
Yes.
And it might be a train, but like let's for the sake of the conversation say it would. Well, no, it'll definitely get better. That's the one thing you need to remember in ultra. It always gets better. If it's sunrise or having a nap or getting nutrition, and it will get better.
Also, just quickly, something that I want to add. Because I struggle to eat, I never really feel like eating sort of salty things and things like that. But at the aid station before you go down, there's always some nice warm soup. And like I said before, taking in something warm is really underestimated. Something salty and warm in your stomach promotes your digestion, because your stomach stops digesting things the further you run. it's like your stomach
Yeah,
muscles fatigue as well. And you basically, your extremities use so much energy, your stomach just says, I'm not doing anything anymore.
I'm quite full.
So if you can get something like that, that sort of boosts your metabolism, you'll feel a whole lot better.
Yeah.
So try that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to altitude. Jeez, one of my least favorite. Well, I've got a love-hate relationship with altitude. I love being at altitude, but altitude don't seem to like me much. So this is um, so there's a question from Michi Ice Goat. That's a flipping cool name. Altitude, does it affect either of you, and how do you deal with it? Um, yeah, I mean, like I said, like I think altitude hates me. Even my driver's license, I had to get a temporary driver's license in after a DGT I did with a part of DGT I did with two friends, and I dropped down early and I hitchhiked to Escort and had to get a temporary driver's license. My nose was bleeding from the altitude, so I had a temporary license with a bleeding nose. So yeah, altitude does affect me quite badly. How does it affect you, Naomi?
Yes, like I said, I can't eat well, and I've got asthma,
Mm,
exercise-induced asthma. So I was very scared before UTD. I was really, really scared. But uh, I think with a race like that, in the race itself, if altitude starts affecting you, you kind of just have to try and listen to your body, because your body is basically, it's your body's physiological response, because it doesn't want to be without oxygen. So it's trying to slow you down. You're doing the opposite. You're exercising. So just to
yeah,
listen to your body, and breathe a little deeper, move a little slower until you feel better. But don't give up. But yeah,
yeah.
for me,
We
I definitely felt like someone put weights on my legs, and it decreased my lung capacity by about 90%. so so you do
yeah.
feel it,
There's
definitely.
there's quite a few questions around the altitude. Like, so I think
Yeah.
we know it affects us both. So if we go, I think there's a question here like there's quite a few questions about people asking if it's worth going up earlier. Absolutely, I think it's the number one best thing you can do
Definitely.
is try and get there earlier. There's a study that that shows that your aerobic performance decreases by I think 11.3% within 1 to 3 hours of arrival at altitude. So that's already like you lose 10% of your performance. And after roughly 45 48 hours of acclimatization, half of that performance is back. So then you're sitting with not as big a deficit on the start. So yeah, I think that's the best thing you can do is try and get up there early. I remember I was at Hard Rock, and the night before the run, I was sleeping and just like turning over in my sleep, I was getting out of breath. I'm like, flip, like if that's how I'm feeling now, like how do I, how do I even run tomorrow? But yeah, get there early. I think one,
It's actually, sorry, it's actually interesting that you're saying that, because altitude, if you arrive at altitude, you sleep less because your body tries to wake you up all the time because you're not taking enough oxygen. It's not used to it. So going a bit earlier is not only for obviously adapting for the race, it helps you to get some rest in before you start the race, because the first night you won't sleep as well, the second night you might, and you need to, if you're going to do a 30-hour 36-hour, how long it
yes,
takes you race, you do need to get at least one good sleep in. So I really recommend it as well. I think, yeah,
yeah.
it's the best thing you can do for yourself.
So, something else that I think there's value in, and is beetroot juice. So it's a pet hate of mine, but yeah, like before DGT last year, like I knew I wasn't going to be up there in time to acclimatize. So I was for a week before just drinking about 2 liters of beetroot juice a day to try and get the nitric oxide in my blood up. And it's like I was so over beetroot juice. And later on spending a bit more time. There's definite value in the beetroot juice. I just don't think there's that much value drinking copious amounts of it for a week before to try and cheat altitude. I think on a when you're at altitude, I'm for UTD. I'm going to take a flask with some beetroot juice with. I think it helps the blood vessels to deliver more oxygen. It just like gets them closer to their normal function. It helps the body to produce nitric oxide. And yeah, so drinking beetroot juice, I think, would be it's like maybe a little bit of a hack, but I'm a believer in there's some value there. I'll share
I
some
think
links with there's some articles.
yeah. I
On the
think
side today.
I think with tips, a lot of people ask me for advice about training for altitude. I think in an ideal world, we all want to do the sleep high, train low thing, but you have to do that for a couple of weeks. Obviously, most of us work. You can't really take weeks off before the race. So idealistically, I think there is exercises you can do, breathing exercises to make your diaphragm a bit stronger, but fitness above all. You just need to be as fit as possible. I didn't, honestly, I came back from Malawi. I struggled a bit to get going the year I did it. And I wasn't as well prepared as I would have wanted to. I worked really hard up until the day that we went up to the Drakensberg. But I was very fit at that point, did a lot of long climbs in my training. And I think that alone is what got me through, is just training for climbing. You use the same muscles, they just work a bit harder. So I think
that's
you can just be climbing fit.
I think that's it. That's it. Because I mean, there's this question here by Luca Nardari, how do you prepare for altitude in the low veld? And I think that's sort of what Naomi is saying now is super valuable. Like, you know, if the best training you can do is train hard at, you know, like you train your body, you know, do a lot of heel repeats, do things that really, you know, push your body to suffer without oxygen, and that's probably the biggest benefit you can get at lower levels.
Maybe we're all prepared for it more this year with having worn masks forever.
Oh, yes.
I think we're all a bit more afraid for breathing without oxygen. That's a good thing that happened with Corona. Makes you oxygen deprived.
Is there any medication that helps for altitude, and is it safe to run on it? That's a question by Innovate South Africa. I think Naomi,
I've tried a tablet once. I wouldn't be able to tell you the name, unfortunately. I did try and research a bit to try and find the name. I bought it overseas, so I couldn't find the same active ingredient tablet equivalent in South Africa. But I wouldn't recommend it. I think I ran Madeira Island Ultra Trail with it, and the elevation wasn't even really that bad, but it was my first sort of big mountain race, and I was a bit scared. And I think anything that you try the first time on race day is most of the time a really bad idea. I think we're all a bit crazy, the ultra trail runners, and we do stuff like that, which is, you've got good stories to tell afterwards, but in the race, it's not fun.
it's surprising. I mean, we're all pretty like I think generally like quite considerate people, but like it's strange how you change before race. Like, oh my God, like let me try this wild theory I just read on the internet, and geez, you know, all the careful race prep for 6 months in your head, like trying to plan your nutrition is like, okay, well, I see this thing might work, so I'm gonna try.
You throw everything out of the window.
No. They say that like just asking for medication that helps. I think you know, they also said that Viagra improves high altitude exercise performance up to 45% for some people. So that's, you know, if someone wants to try that on UTD, I'm personally not going to go for the Viagra. I don't know. Like I'm saying that now, maybe
complications.
It might have other complications. It might be a very awkward run in Lesotho, you know. So I don't know.
I think with medication, you also have to consider, remember that your kidneys are working really, really hard during an ultra trail. So you are dehydrating more so in the berg than usual in any way. So if you're going to take medication, any medication, I would recommend drinking enough water, because it puts a lot of pressure on your kidneys. And if something like I've had Valoid with me before, for if you're feeling a little bit nauseous, by all means, if that works for you and you want to have that just in your pocket for a sort of knowing that it's there for if you don't feel good, then by all means do that. But I wouldn't recommend trying it for the first time. And I do think if you're going to use it, if you want to try it, try it on a long run over a weekend and see how you feel. You can ask your doctor, for your personal doctor. We're not doctors, so we're not going to prescribe anything. I think talk to your doctor and get some proper medical advice. And things change all the time. There's new medicine out every week, so get the latest, best advice if that's a route that you want to take. But it's up to you personally. Yeah.
Definitely second that one. Just what Naomi was saying about you drinking a lot more water on the race as well. There was another question which we're going to come to later, but I think we should just answer it now. From experience, how much water would you recommend carrying for a 100 miler? And that was a question by Jamie Fensham. Jamie, like Naomi mentioned there, I think you're going to, at altitude, you drink a lot more water. So take what you would normally have and you know, like take a bit of extra water. You do not want to run out of, you don't want to run out of water. So that's, you know, if you run past a stream, there's opportunity to fill up. There will be lots of water on a mountain if there's rain. So, and it's generally quite, you know, just generally enough water. You never that far away from an aid station that you'll battle, but you know, be very aware that you are going to drink more water than you would, for example, on your training runs at sea level or something. And if you've taken a Viagra, I don't know I don't know what you're going to do then. I don't know if it uses more water or what, but yeah,
it is a blood pressure medication. So just be careful.
Okay. So don't mix the Viagra and the beetroot juice. That's I have no idea what's going to happen then.
I do think as well, with nutrition and water intake, it's a very personal thing, and I can't stress that enough. What works for me wouldn't work for you. So if I run with 2 bottles because I don't drink enough, the next person would completely run out of water, and the next person would say, well, that's too much for me. So you have to exercise these things. We all do it over a long run over the weekend. See how much you drink per, say 30 kilometers, and then just go from there. Sorry for the noise in the background.
Yeah, I drink a lot of water, so I'm probably going to drink 2 flasks while I'm like just from the nerves from this call. So yeah. Know yourself.
Yes, exactly.
There was a question from Derek Skalkutsia on Facebook. I'm coming from sea level, Cape Town area. How's it? And I needed to find a way to manage the impact of altitude on my body. First question, does it help to get altitude training beforehand, such as spending time and running weekends at higher altitude? Yeah, I mean, I think it comes back to what we discussed earlier about the acclimatization. I think weekends away at altitude would mean you'd probably exert more effort with a lower, like let's say you'd probably exert more effort with less training there, just because you're not used to it. So it's absolute value. I think that's why people go to high altitude to go and train. So you get a lot more value from your training. So yeah, I definitely think there's value in that. I think if you can get away.
If you want to go, if you're in the position to go, say 2 weeks earlier, say you can do that, or you live in the area. The theory is to sleep high and train low. The reason for that is that when you're sleeping, you're making red blood cells. When you're training, you can still train as hard as you normally would, without sort of compromising the amount that you put in. But the opposite is also true. If you do train at high altitude, say you go and summit Matroosberg if you're in the Western Cape over a weekend to try and get some sort of good value altitude in, you also adapt or know what to expect at that sort of climb and how fast you can push your body. So I think there's value in both, trying sort of the sleep high, train low theory, or to go.
And just to clarify for Mode, I think when Naomi's saying sleep high, train low, doesn't mean like smoke a joint before you go to bed. I think it's there's no scientific proof behind that.
Please don't get high. There's a lot of different theories, and I think you could do yourself a favor and read up on these things. I think that's how we learn as well. But there's definitely value in doing long sustained climbs. So running up Constantia, getting used to running, working really, really hard while running. And that's what you're going to do. You're just going to do more of it. So, yeah.
So cool.
That would be my 2 cents.
So Derek's got another question here. Is it worthwhile to spend 3 to 4 days prior to days at Sani Mountain Lodge to acclimatize? Yeah, absolutely. I think we've basically covered that. You know, but that's probably the most valuable thing you can do. We went through the 11.3% performance loss in your arrival. You know, 48 hours afterwards, it's basically halved already. So, for the specific question on Sani Mountain Lodge, it's a nice place. You know, if you have the option to go and stay there, I think stay there. Last time I was there, I think I was about to DNF on my race. So, yeah, the couch is really comfortable. When we did the recce as well, it's a really cool place. Yeah, so yeah, it sounds like
I had a last minute before the race dinner with some people there. There's some really good food. I would not recommend eating the curry they have there just before starting the UTD 100 miler.
Yeah.
But if you know Elof Hofmann, then that's the way to go.
Yeah,
they've got really good food, and you've got a beautiful view from there. So yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think you know we should be careful of taking like a lot of nutritional advice from Elof and Frikkie, because I saw Frikkie earlier on the comments was recommending beer, which I think is actually a good. Yeah, beer is not a bad option. That Maluti beers is fantastic. So on your way down into South Africa, yeah, maybe have a beer there for the run down the pass. It's to take away the edge a little bit.
I've had mixed input about that. I actually read an article on Altitude just a couple of days ago to kind of sort of just see what's out there at the moment, and they said avoid alcohol altogether. I think it's to do with the dehydration as well, but each to his own. Different folks.
Each his own. I don't want to put my body through a shock like that before a race. So
no, like, exactly.
Ozzy Osborne. It's again the same question, booking accommodation. I think there's a lot of general questions around should we go up earlier, and that's I think a resounding yes from
from
everyone. Yeah, he said I tried the UTD 160 in 2019, and the altitude caught me out 20 kilometers in. Yeah, so I think you and me both, dude. Like I was I think it didn't even take me 20 kilometers to be knocked out there. The other 70 kilometers back to where I DNF'd was a flipping nightmare. Usually I have those.
Where does the race really begin? I can't remember who asked that.
That's Boer Machine.
Yes. I wanted to say that I think the race starts as soon as that bell goes off. And why I'm saying that, it sounds like a cliche, but why I'm saying that is if you push really, really hard in that first bit, remember you've now started at altitude and with a bang, and there's adrenaline and it's competition, and I myself, in my experience, I ran too fast. I always do that, but you never learn. I ran too fast in the beginning, and it caught up with me in the end because you do a lot of running at the bottom. So you do this big technical nighttime run, and actually the altitude helps a little bit because it slows you down a bit, so you don't break your legs completely. But as you go down, obviously after Lesotho, you go down very steep, and then you run. The trails are very runnable. So if you're one of those very, very disciplined people and listen to your body, rather start smart, hydrate from the start when you can still hydrate, eat from the start when you can still eat, and if you race smart, it will help you much more than going out with a bang. You will explode.
I think this is a fantastic segue back into the UTD 160 specific questions, and there was a question there which actually is exactly what you're talking about now, and that's from Marcel. Like, how the heck do you pace yourself for 100 miles? The first 10 kilometers versus the last 10 kilometers. So it's I think like Naomi said here, I think on 100 miles, the most, for me, it's always like the most important thing is start slow and then go slower. You know, you don't want to get sucked into the rush. You have the next, 30, 40 hours to feel good about your decision to start slow. You know, the key thing you want to avoid for as long as possible is getting into that death march. You know, like the longer you can keep your pace, you keep consistent, keep it a little bit consistent, because most people there's a very interesting article on the Western States where they do the analysis of how fast people go out, and most people start below record pace and then just completely blow out over the second half. So if you can keep some semblance of consistency through the race, and that start super slow, because like your average pace over the race is going to be super slow. So the slower you start, the longer you can keep that consistent, the longer you avoid blowing out or having to lie down or vomiting your lungs out, the better. So if you've got some, let's say the race is, okay, it's called UTD 160. It's another quite important thing here, but it's 171 kilometers. That last 10 kilometers, you will get some energy, some comfort from the fact that you are getting close to the finish. So if you still have a little bit of energy left, you're not haven't completely blown up. It's amazing how suddenly knowing that the race finish is near, how much that helps. So yeah, there's a little bit of something you can start slow live to crawl fast. Yeah, I think Slam Dance says it there quite well. Yeah, yeah.
Just FYI, there is the bottom of the trail, or the part where you run. I don't know, the course has changed a little bit, so Armand will tell you more about it. But nowhere in the Drakensberg is it completely flat. So you will do some climbs towards the end, and you want to have a little bit of legs left there. Even if you have that adrenaline kicking in, because you can see the finish line. I think I cursed the race organizers, Spurge, so much in that last 5Ks because I could see it, but I couldn't get there because there's hills in the way. It takes you the hard way around. I think, like with any long race, just prepare yourself that you just have enough left for that last little bit. And
you're gonna pick. There's another question here from Jan Reis. Like, how would you rate the new UTD 160 route in difficulty compared to the previous iteration? And I think, like Naomi said, now there's the route has changed a bit, but there's more runnable sections. So, but those runnable sections are after 130 k's. So you want, like most of us will probably be so stuffed at that point, you won't be able to take advantage of them. But knowing that if you have something in reserve, that last 30-40 kilometers is more runnable than the first section. Lesotho is going to be hard. Lesotho is high altitude, little oxygen, and then you have the beautiful drop down back into South Africa. And I think then that's a different race. If you make it mentally, like break the race down into a few sections for yourself, make it through Lesotho. That's a massive part of the race done. That's the altitude part done. You're going to drop down into South Africa. You're going to have more oxygen. Make sure you've got something left for that. You'll feel bloody good overtaking people. Not that I can actually talk about that because I never made it past Sani Pass back into South Africa last time. So take my words with a pinch of salt. But mentally, if you have something,
I can totally agree with that. Everyone said to me, just survive to Sani to the pass, and just the fact that you say that to yourself as well is, if I get Lesotho done, then the most difficult part is over. When you get there, you feel like you've got a second breath. Yeah, exactly. It's all in here. And you feel like you've got wings because now you're running downhill and it's like a euphoria. But then as well, don't fly like a crazy person down Sani Pass and then you get on the trail and then you have no legs. Remember to you've still got a very long way to go.
Absolutely. You're gonna have beautiful running there, like after the pass. Allegedly, I heard.
Beautiful.
Although I've done most of it.
You see the equivalent of the 12 apostles. You see a mountain range to your left, rolling mountains, and it's one of the most beautiful mountain views I've ever had. I think, touching on another question, someone asked me, how do you keep your mind positive in long races like this? And I think you have to just keep looking for positive things, but with a run like that, it's not hard because you look up and you can just sort of say to yourself, well, look at where I am. Not a lot of people will ever get the opportunity to run there and be there and experience that. With sunrise, depending on where you are in the race. It's incredible. So if you need inspiration, look up. And if that doesn't help, look ahead and see the next runner and look at what they're doing and tell yourself you're not by yourself.
Exactly.
You're all in the same boat.
That's a question. That was a question from Edward. Yeah, absolutely. I think what Naomi is saying there, just when it's really, just enjoy it. Like, breathe in the night, breathe in the day, look at the mountains, look at where you're running. It's an absolute privilege to be running there in the mountains, That'll keep
And
the bad voices out.
if you ask yourself what's the alternative, that's what I sometimes force myself, because I'm very strict with myself with these things. I always tell myself, "Oh, this was your own choice," and but I do
Yeah,
try and tell myself, what's the alternative? The alternative is either stopping, which you will probably regret if you feel like you can still run. Obviously, if it's a medical condition or you have altitude sickness and you can't carry on, then listen to your body. But the
yeah,
alternative is quitting something that you've really prepared for. And so best is
yeah,
to keep on going, and you will get out of that dip and you will feel better. It's just to ask yourself, well, if I'm not going to carry on, what
yeah.
am I going to do?
This was this was that's very, very true. Like I think there's something on when I did the DGT that I was very tempted to turn off at Sani Pass. There's a beautiful swimming pool down there. I could go and have a beer with Elian, and she sent me a message on the satellite thing like, how would you feel in a month from now? Would you regret turning left here, or would you look back and say like, fuck, I finished this thing. So that's I think, yeah, that what Naomi's saying is very, very true. Just think of what's the alternative, and use that to
Even if
fuel
you
your way
arrive
forward.
shipwrecked and
Yeah,
completely blown out of this world, you will still be happier the next day if you push through
absolutely. Yeah,
than you would just watching everyone else finish, knowing that you still had something left in the tank, but your brain just for a
yeah,
moment had a bit of a hiccup. That's a very hard emotion to deal with, and I've had to do that a couple of times myself, and it just
yeah,
it just is a horrible feeling. But
yeah,
if you need to do it on the day and you feel like it's medically necessary to stop, then stop. But if you're just having a bit of doubt in yourself, walk it out,
yeah,
drink some water, and tell yourself,
yeah,
how lucky am I to be here, and then carry
absolutely.
on.
Yeah. Here's another question from Admire at Addy Athlete. I was at Addy. I think you should have been answering the questions about the running in cold weather from Rhino Peak. I think when I saw you up there, it was flipping cold. So I think you're probably the expert to talk about cold, yeah. But Admire had a question about how's the night running for 160 kilometers. Anything to worry about now to nutrition? Um, One, I'm super stoked to see you running the 160K. I think that's going to be freaking awesome. For me, the night running is really, really special. I would say enjoy it. It's a very special to be out there at night running on your own in the mountains. There's a very, I think it's good for the soul. It's just enjoy it and breathing that night air and just, yeah, it's a really, really special feeling. So I wouldn't be concerned about the night running. I would definitely, make sure you get a few night runs in, but yeah, really like embrace the opportunity to run at night. It's really, really special.
Something I just sort of want to add, I think for the girls, a lot of people are a bit scared of Lesotho at nighttime, and understandably so. It is an unknown territory for a lot of the people running the race. They've never been there before, or they've heard stories about dogs running around, or just they don't know the terrain. The race is incredibly good at taking care of the athletes. I can attest to that. Testify to that is that I felt safe. I felt protected. I had a tracker on me. We had the horses on the mountain with people that live and work there and know the mountains like the back of their hand. And there's always someone in front of you or behind you most of the time.
Yeah,
And if you're feeling a bit scared and unsure, maybe just wait it out a little bit for somebody to come up and run with you. If you're really scared, you've got the tracker with you. You can send out a help signal. There will be someone looking for you. So I
yeah,
think just don't panic. Don't tell yourself it's the end of the world. You are doing something a bit crazy, and you've got to take responsibility for yourself as well. But I think it's really special. Like Aman said, you're on. It looks like the moon, and all you can see is this little white spot in front of you, and that's very, very, very special. And in a way, it's so
I saw
focused. I
quite a
don't
few
think
white
you're ever
spots, but
as
I don't think
focused
that
as
was
when
that
you're
was
running in the
anything to do with
nighttime
the.
and you just have this little spot. But yeah, I think don't be too scared about safety. The race really takes care of you, and make sure that you are safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure your headlamp is working.
Yeah. That's take a spare headlamp as well. That's definitely, I think it should be mandatory equipment, but just make sure you've got a don't take. It's not a token thing. It's really bad to get stuck without a headlamp. Here's another question. I'm just aware of the time here. So how's the marking up in Lesotho? That's Eloise from Trailmag, the person also known as the foot washer. And how do you know what places to go from Wadi Krichi? Yeah, I mean, the route is well marked. We should say that. But, and just as is like something like I think a general point would be take responsibility for your own race. Even if a route is well marked, don't rely on that. Like, you know, we're running in beautiful places. We're running in the wild. This is not it's not the two oceans. It's not a road race. If you have a watch that can do navigation, load the GPX. Make sure you know the route. You listen at the race briefing. You know, if you haven't seen markings for a while, do a check. You know, it's do a sanity check, because you know the route. Yeah, just make sure you know where you're going. We have to take responsibility for our own races as well. The route is well marked, but you know, also don't like I was on a race that was well marked in Mauritius. I think Naomi's also done the UTRB, where the first year the race was run, some of the sugar farmers had something against the race, and they'd taken away all the markings. So, you know, you have to be able to sort of roll with that and not run over a cliff. So load the GPX, make sure you know what the route looks like. The markings are there, but you know, take responsibility for your own race. That's just in general. I think all trail races. It's also interesting to see how many climbs are still left to go. Like, you know, how far they run. Yeah, I don't know. Naomi, what do you? Hello?
Yeah, I really agree with you. I think I don't know if my connection is a bit poor. Can you still hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It's a bit slow on my side. I think that in any race, you're your own responsibility as well, and you are signing up for the race, and you've made the choice. So take that responsibility and the magnitude of it, and bear it in mind that you have to sort of check yourself, make sure your watch is charged, make sure you understand your watch, and you've used it before. I've done that before, where I used a new watch the day of the race, and it completely let me down. I've had both watches. I had two watches on, both die because they didn't charge properly. So things can happen, but be prepared as you can from your side. Take spare batteries. Train a little bit with your watch and see what it does in places where the signal isn't good. So be as prepared as you can, and the rest is up to the universe. If things happen, then you deal with them as they come. Yeah,
I think that's a good point. Like train your body. I mean, there's all the physical preparations we do, but also make sure you train with your equipment. Understand your watch, know how your watch works. Use your poles. Just like it's a holistic the preparation for a race like this. Then there's okay, how would you rate the new UTD 160 route? Okay, we got that one. I think we covered the Lesotho versus South Africa. Yeah, I think just make sure you break down the route into manageable bites. Then it doesn't seem as daunting if you're doing the long one. Here's one from Ilian Mills. 3 things not to do for UTD.
I actually wrote them down because I had to think about them a little bit. I would say don't doubt yourself too much. You can totally overthink these things. I think the human body and the human mind is much stronger than we give it credit for most of the time. And I think if you're out there and you've trained and you've prepared, you've got this. I mean, just give yourself some credit that you don't start doubting your abilities, doubting your gear, because then that's a downhill spiral pretty quickly. Like I said, don't panic. I had moments where I looked up and I saw someone with a dog, and for a moment with the night monsters, I was a bit like, oh, where am I? What is happening? Just breathe. Don't panic. I think the moment you panic, you do stupid things. Which I've done before. So just talk to yourself, tell yourself, I'm okay, I'm here now, I'm doing it. So don't panic. I think that's also down the spiral. And then don't think you can just rock up and run the UTD 100 miler. I say that with all the respect in the world for all the amazing runners out there. I'm not the best runner by any means, but I do know that for me personally, you've got more confidence in yourself, and you've got more, if you enjoy it just so much more if you've prepared, and you make it better for the race organizer. You make it better for anyone supporting you if you well prepared. If you're not, everyone else sort of has to adapt to that, and sometimes it can put you in dangerous situations. So I think come prepared as you can.
Yeah, I think that's very well said, Naomi. Absolutely. Then there's a few last questions here. The mental game of ultra running. One more from Mooncake. How do you get through the rock bottom moments when you just want to throw in the towel? If you're carrying a towel, yeah, maybe you should have dropped that at the start. Maybe with the extra weight there. But from my side, I think just when you really feel like rock bottom, and I think that's something that comes, after having hit rock bottom a few times, just know that it will go better. It sounds stupid, but it will get better. That's like, it's without fail, you can think that it's the deepest, darkest place that you've possibly hit, but like by some miracle, your body somehow, and every time you learn a little bit more about yourself, and I think just the key thing is just when you're in that spot, just know it will go better. That's, sunrise will come, it's and then you'll be freaking euphoric, or it's super strange how your body swing from one side to the other side.
Sometimes it takes quite a long time for that point to come. I must say, from my experience, I ran UTMB and I started the race, and after about 10 Ks, I felt, oh shit, this is going to be an extremely long day, because my body just didn't want to do what I needed it to do. And I carried on to the 20K mark, and I felt worse, and I carried on to the 30K mark. And I think around about 100 Ks in, I started feeling better. And the last 10 Ks, I ran 4:30 pace down the mountain. I was sharp. So I think you like Armand said, you underestimate the human body and your mind, and something really small can happen, like someone at an aid station telling you, you're so inspiring, or keep going, or I wish I was in your shoes, I wish you're amazing, I wish I could do this, or seeing a South African with a flag at some race somewhere in the mountains. I saw a South African with a flag, and I was like, I'm running for my country, I'm running for my parents, I'm running. So something small will happen at some stage, and you'll just lift your spirits, and you'll feel like a new person.
And listen, this is also ultra, like it completely messes with your emotions. So for the guys out there, completely just, if you want to cry, just have a good cry. Like you're mostly going to like just bawl.
I love that. Cry it out.
Cry it out. Like, no. And then I think I saw Pip Dixon also say, like, just walk it out.
I saw a Chinese guy at UTMB. Yeah.
Sorry?
I saw a Chinese guy from UTMB sitting on a rock, and he cried his heart out. He was sobbing. Yeah. Like proper sobbing. I hate this. I want to stop. So do that. You'll feel better.
No, do what helps. Then there were two more questions here. So what books have you enjoyed reading? And what books have you enjoyed reading that has helped motivate you for an ultra? That's from Mo, who have you found any books that you found inspiring?
I like the true stories about people that have gone through really tough things. This is not anything to do with running, but I read a book about Bear Grylls. It's called True Grit, about stories of people who went through, basically survived incredible things. It's short stories, and after reading that, in every 100-miler that I go through, I kind of ask myself, like, would I be able to survive if I'm stuck on the ocean for 127 days? Or if I fall from a plane from the sky and I'm in an Amazon wood on an island somewhere, what would I do? And basically those people, all that they said is that they didn't know they had it in them until they were in that situation. And I think you can just take that over to ultra trail running. Your body is fighting this war to survive the trail, and you've got it in you somewhere. yeah, so that was a good book for me, but it's not a running book. There's loads out there. Armand will know more. He's got a lot of books at home.
No, but I think that's a really good one. I think there's another question here. What's your aid station lifesaver to lift your spirits when you are in a pain cave? I think Eden, well, Eden should actually be the person to be answering this. I think he's got a lot of more insights and advice to give on that. Aid station lifesaver. I think for me, just making it to every aid station can be quite a lifesaver. You know, if you've broken down the race into different parts, yeah. And then for me, like something that's always a bit of a lifesaver there would be if there's nice hot broth. I think Naomi's also mentioned a few times that just getting something hot in. For me, it's always something that immediately boosts my spirit if I can have just a bit of like a bowl of broth. For me, that's, you know, it doesn't have to have anything in it, but there's something about getting salty broth in that sort of makes me like, you know, stop the tears and just give me like new hope for the rest of the days. And yeah, I mean, also things are going well. It's also just tastes good.
I think seeing someone that you love at the aid station is very important.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for the supporters out there, if you're supporting
Yeah.
someone, you are the thing that they are looking forward to seeing.
Yeah.
And seeing your smile will carry them to the next aid station.
Yeah.
And another thing is, if you don't have anyone there that you know or you love, tell the people
Hug
at the
someone
aid station,
random.
thank you. If you standing at the aid station, remember those people have been up all night, all day, standing there. They're mostly volunteers. If you tell them, thank you so much for what you're doing, it makes you feel
Oh,
better
man.
as well. So
Yeah.
I've done that a lot when I'm really down. I get to this aid station, it's 4 a.m. in the morning, and they're standing there. They're so freaking cold and frozen, and you're this crazy person running there, and they're just there for you. And what really lifts my spirit is to give them a big smile and say, thank you
Yeah.
so much for what you're doing. It makes me feel better.
No, it does.
I think that's a good tip.
Yeah, no. That just that hugs, like a hug from a stranger or just like talking to someone is yeah. No, I think I think people have a lot more empathy and understanding, especially at aid stations, because you know a lot of volunteers that work there are runners themselves. They understand that when they see you in a bad state, they know what you're going through, and they can relate and yeah, definitely give you a bit of a hug. I see V Lawrence doing UTD 100. I've been practicing crying for so long. Yeah, no, I think that's it. That's good preparation.
I
Um,
love it.
there was
Don't dehydrate.
yeah, no, there's then there was a question from Mari Bapela. How do you get your watch to last 400 miles? Yeah, so I think, you know, like these watches have got different modes. I normally run if I'm watching whatever the normal mode is. I don't, you know, I'm running with a Garmin Phoenix, and its battery life is good enough to, unless I'm really, you know, your watch in that mode should make it through. But I also run with a small battery pack. So in like I think as something to charge other pieces of equipment, I've got it's useful. So if you stop at an aid station, you can plug in a watch and get a bit of a charge. I do find that new Garmin's, like the Suntas used to have a slot where you can just plug the charger in while you run. It's a bit more painful now with the new watches. You got to take it off and charge it. But I think most of the new watches, they'll comfortably make it through. If you set them to battery savings mode, they'll comfortably make it through the worst we can throw a limit on 100 miles.
Remember to disconnect Bluetooth from because I know
Yeah.
most of us kind of before you start the race, you're a bit stressed and you forget, and that's the thing that really makes your Garmin, for instance, lose battery power quite quickly, is having the Bluetooth mode on, because it keeps on getting stuff from your phone. And like Armand said, I mean, in UTD, I had to charge my watch, and I did it on a piece of trail where the trail was sort of self-explanatory, on the trail at the bottom, on South Africa. And I plugged it in and I kept it in my hand. I had a very small external charger and I ran like that for a while, and then I put it away again, and it just gave my watch enough battery to go that extra. I've had to do it in most of the 100-milers, but the new watches these days, Coros, which is a new watch in South Africa, they can last for very, very long. I ran UTMB with mine and it still had about 40% of its battery life left. So it really depends on the model watch as well that you use.
Yeah, my watch always usually finishes with more battery left than I've got left. So that's kudos to the guys improving the watch batteries. And just so, like, another thing is, geez, I mean, we're so focused on so many things that we often forget to charge the watch. So just make a little checklist and just remember to charge the watch. Because there's no use you've got a watch that can go 100 hours, but you haven't charged it for a week. Which is the downside of the watches lasting so long. You tend to not having to charge them for a week or so, and then you forget. Yeah, and that's the worst thing. That, and if you run with music, make sure you sync whatever playlist you want to listen to. My first 100-miler, I forgot to sync it was still in the days of iPods. iPods. I forgot to sync my iPod, and I was listening to the same 5 songs on repeat. So there's a few songs I never listened to again in my life, which is Little Lion Man from Mumford and Comfortably Numb from Pink Floyd. There's a few songs that's got a
it's ruined forever.
It's ruined forever.
Also, that's another tip. Be careful to what you listen to before you race. I had a Queen's Don't Stop Me Now on the radio before starting Fish River Canyon, and that whole race, the only thing that went through my mind is Don't Stop Me Now. So just install some good music into your brain before you do a 100-miler, because it will come up all the time.
that's definitely going onto my playlist as well. I think this is like another thing. I think also just putting together like a playlist. It's such a great thing to go through before a race. Make a few different playlists for when it's going well, when you're reaching that, like, the dark places. I've always found like having different sort of. I've got my general playlist is like quite a broad mix. So if I put it on shuffle, I know that if I'm feeling low, I can just skip through a few songs, and I would find something that would pick me up, or sort of match my mood.
Just remember, if you're running with earphones, a friendly tip from me. When I ran Tarawera, there was a guy running with earphones in front of me, and he just didn't hear me, and I was stuck behind him on the small trail. And I basically had to jump past, because he was eating, so he was going really, really slow. And I sprained my ankle really bad trying to get past him on the trail. I was so angry. If you're listening to music, just remember always to have your one earphone out, or just be able to hear someone behind you. That's trail etiquette in general. Is be aware of what's going on around you as well. It's important, especially in Lesotho where you're running at night, to kind of be aware of so you don't get a fright if there's suddenly a sheep or something in your way. Just sort of be aware and vigilant. For things out there.
Okay, so there's just a note here from UTD. Is like, we should remember passports. I just want to remember your passport. So put that in the UTD is not smuggling, not into the people smuggling business. So you don't want your race to either not start or stop at the border and be stuck. So just a friendly reminder to remember passport. Cool. Naomi, this was flipping awesome. Jeez.
I always learn from you more than anything else, so thank you for that.
No, she's like, this is like, just like this the same. And really looking forward to this. Can Coros APX watch load the GPS course? You know the Coros.
Yes.
I just saw a question here from.
Yes.
Yeah, it can.
It can, and if you want to know more about Coros, I can send you a link to the person selling them in South Africa, who will be able to tell you everything about it. So it is a new kind of watch, but it's very good. Works similarly to the Garmin, so it's a very, very user-friendly watch. So if you're interested in it, I can link you up. Just send me a message on Instagram, and I'll try and help where I can. I just want to say to everyone running, I'm so jealous. I wish I could join.
Oh,
That 100 miler wasn't my fastest by far. So please, girls, go for it. I know you can beat it. I don't know what the field looks like, but I'm going to support and cheer from wherever I am at that stage. I might be in New Zealand, but I'll get up and I'll watch you guys. And I'm so proud of each and every person that got to just making the choice to enter is half of the sort of the decision is a hard part, and
yeah.
if you've committed and you're training, you'll be fine. And I'm very proud of you for believing in yourself enough to enter this race. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it.
Yeah. That was super. Yeah. Thanks, Naomi. It's flipping
Awesome.
always super inspiring chatting to you. Yeah,
You
and
too.
all the best. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
And
We'll share
and
some.
thanks,
I'll share
Elian,
some of
and
the.
thanks, Serge.
Yeah, thanks, Elian. Thanks, Spurge, for setting this up and for absolutely creating, I think, one of the nicest ultras in the country. Like one of the most spectacular areas that you can run in, and the community and the vibe around it. If you haven't done UTD before, it is an absolutely incredible experience. So yeah, I'm really stoked to going back this year. Yeah, flip, that's going to be, yeah, this is going to be a highlight for me, and hopefully I can finish the UTD 160 this year. I'll be really happy to make it beyond.
I'll be
Listen
your
to
biggest supporter.
thanks, Naomi. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the notes I made for the show now. Maybe like try and listen to what we were saying here. Cool. And then just some of the things that we've referenced, like the studies on altitude and beetroot juice, I'll just share with Helene, and they can put it into the notes. And then yeah,
And
thanks everyone.
if anyone has any
Yeah,
more questions, feel welcome to ask, and we'll answer as much as we can. We're always there to
yeah,
help in our capacity, within our capacity, but always feel welcome to send a message and ask a question, and we'll try and help where we can.
yeah. Thanks all.
Cool.
Okay,
Bye.
guys. Bye.